All right, so today we're going to put on our architect hats. Our big project? We are going to construct a truly massive digital fortress, something designed to protect our online lives from all the threats that are constantly lurking out there. Okay, let's dive right into the blueprint.
So let me ask you something, and be honest. Think about your online world for a second. All your accounts, your private data, your connections. Is it a real stone fortress, built to withstand a siege? Or is it more like a sandcastle on the beach, just waiting for the first wave to come and wash it all away? Today, we're grabbing the tools to make absolutely sure it's the fortress. Any amazing building, any fortress that's going to last, has to start with a solid foundation. In the world of digital security, that foundation is all about understanding the core principles. This is our blueprint, the master plan we need before we even think about laying a single brick.
So, what is network security, really? Well, you can think of it as the master plan for our entire fortress. It's not just one single thing, it's a whole combination of rules. Those are the laws of our kingdom, and our daily practices. That's how we train our guards. And of course, the technology we use, that's the actual stone and mortar for our walls. All of it has to work together perfectly to keep invaders out.
Okay, so inside every fortress, right, there's the treasure room, the crown jewels. For us, our data is that treasure. And to guard it, we have to follow three unbreakable laws. We call it the CIA triad. And no, it has nothing to do with spies. These are the three core ideas that keep our most valuable stuff safe. Let's break them down. First up, confidentiality. This is pretty straightforward. It's all about keeping secrets. It's making sure that only the right people can see your sensitive information. This is where things like encryption come in, which basically scrambles your data into a secret code. It's also why we use strong passwords. Those are the keys to the kingdom. And VPNs, which act like secret tunnels.
All right, next up is integrity. This one's all about trust. How do you know the data you're looking at is the real deal and hasn't been messed with? Well, it's just like the king's wax seal on an important message. If that seal's broken, you know someone's been meddling. In our digital world, we use things like hashing and digital signatures to act as that unbroken seal, guaranteeing our data is authentic. And the third pillar is availability. I mean, what's the point of having a super secure fortress if you lock yourself out? Or if the drawbridge gets stuck and you can't get to your food and supplies? Availability means your systems and your data are actually working, and you can get to them when you need to. This is precisely why we build defenses against those denial of service attacks, which are designed to do nothing but clog up our gates. So, okay, we've got our principles. But how do we actually manage who comes and goes? That's where the AAA model comes in. It's super simple. First is authentication. The guard at the gate stops you and asks, "Who are you?" You show your ID. Next is authorization. Okay, you're in, but what are you allowed to do? That depends on the keys you've been given. And finally, accounting. The guard writes down everything you do in a logbook. It's that simple. Who you are, what you can do, and what you did. All right, we've got our blueprint, but a fortress isn't built in a peaceful world, right? We need to know who our enemies are. To build strong defenses, you have to understand the forces trying to tear them down. So let's meet the invaders gathering at our gates. Let's meet the usual suspects. First, you've got a denial of service, or DOS attack. Think of this as a massive army trying to jam your front gate so nobody, not even you, can get in or out. Then there's spoofing. That's the spy who shows up in a friendly uniform, pretending to be someone you trust. The man in the middle, that's the eavesdropper, hiding in the shadows, listening to your private conversations. And a brute force attack, well, it's exactly what it sounds like, a giant battering ram just trying to smash your door down. So let's break that down. How do these attacks actually work? A DOS attack literally floods your server with so much garbage traffic that it just gives up and crashes. A spoofer can fake a trusted IP address to fool your firewall into just letting them waltz right in. A man-in-the-middle attack, that's what happens when you use that unsecured coffee shop Wi-Fi. An attacker can just sit there and pluck your passwords right out of the air. And that brute force battering ram, it's a computer program that just sits there trying every single password combination possible, millions of times, until it gets the right one. Okay, enough about the bad guys. We know what we're up against. Now it's time to build. We're going to raise our walls, fortify our gates, and post our guards. This is how we start fighting back. And the very first thing we build, the most important defense, is our firewall. This is the great outer wall of our fortress. Period. It stands right on the border between your trusted network and the wild, untrusted internet. It inspects every single piece of data that tries to get through, and based on a strict set of rules, it decides to either let it in or block it completely.
So a big wall is great, but how do the guards know who to let in and who to keep out? They need a rule book. That's exactly what an access control list, or ACL, is. A standard ACL is like a simple guard who only asks, "Where are you from?" An extended ACL is like a highly trained inspector who asks, "Where are you from, where are you going, and what's your business here?" And that's why we place them differently. The simple rules go close to the destination, but the really smart, detailed rules, you put those right at the border to stop threats as early as possible.
Now, our main wall is up, but what about all the little gates and doors into the castle? We call those ports, and each one needs its own security checkpoint. That's port security. You can tell it how to act. In protect mode, it just quietly drops anything unauthorized. In restrict mode, it drops it and makes a note in the logbook. But the best option is shutdown mode. The second unauthorized device tries to connect, slam, the port shuts down completely.
So our fortress is looking pretty solid. But people and messages have to go in and out, right? We can't just lock ourselves in forever. We need to protect our communications as they travel. This is where we build our secret tunnels and post guards in the watchtowers. So how do you communicate safely? With a VPN. A virtual private network is literally your fortress's secret underground passage. When you need to connect from the outside instead of traveling on the public internet where everyone can see you, a VPN creates a private encrypted tunnel. It makes your connection completely invisible to all those eavesdroppers and man-in-the-middle attackers. Okay, let's talk about our wireless watchtowers, our Wi-Fi. Just look at this chart. You can see right here, using something old like WEP, that's like having a guard who's completely asleep on the job. It's broken, useless. You really need to be using WPA2 at an absolute minimum, but what you really want is WPA3. It's just so much stronger against modern attacks. So here's your quick and dirty checklist for locking down that Wi-Fi. First, use WPA3 or WPA2. No exceptions with a long, strong, unique password. Turn off WPS. It's just a known vulnerability. Please change the default network name. If it's still named after your router brand, you're telling attackers exactly what you have. And if you want an extra layer, turn on MAC filtering. It's like a VIP list for your Wi-Fi. Only devices you've personally approved can even connect. All right, we've built the walls, we've secured the gates, our watchtowers are staffed, but the job's not done. Not even close. You see, security isn't something you set up once and forget. It requires constant vigilance. It's a process we call hardening. This ongoing work is called hardening. Think of it like this. It's all the daily maintenance a good castle steward does to keep the fortress strong. It means you're actively trying to reduce the number of ways an attacker could possibly get in, what we call the attack surface. You're patching cracks in the walls with software updates, you're changing the locks with new passwords, and you're boarding up unused windows by turning off services you don't need. So here it is, your fortress maintenance checklist. Seriously, do these things. 1. Change every single default password. 2. Disable any ports or services you are not actively using. 3. Patch your systems. When a security update comes out, install it. 4. Turn on the local firewalls on your computers. 5. Set up logging so you have a record if something weird happens. And 6, and I cannot stress this enough, use multi-factor authentication everywhere you possibly can. It is one of the single best things you can do for your security. And that's it. That's the whole shebang. Let's do a quick recap of the security toolkit we just built together. We laid the foundation with the core principles, the CIA triad, and the AAA model. We identified our enemies, DOS, spoofing, MITM, and brute force. We built our core defenses using firewalls, ACLs, and port security. We secured our communications with VPNs and strong Wi-Fi. And we committed to keeping it all strong through constant device hardening. You now have the full toolkit. So, here we are, back at the beginning. But now you see it, right? Your digital fortress is never finished. It's a living thing. The threats are always changing, so our defenses have to change with them. So the only question left is, armed with this new blueprint, what's the first brick you're gonna lay to strengthen your fortress, starting today?